back. It's gonna be a little bit about my experience so far in the salon, how I was able to build clientele, how I was able to build some confidence, and definitely how to make good tips. So if you are just starting on the salon and you can relate to these things and maybe pick up a few tips, then keep watching. So actually I'm gonna start with how I got my job. I kid you not, I graduated I think a month and a half, and so I decided to just start looking for a job. I didn't really want to, mainly because I was like, man, I don't really know if I want to do this now after I graduated. And my dad's like, you ain't gonna sit at home. So I was like, all right. So I started looking for a job. I had some friends who had graduated, I think about a month and a half before me, and they were like, oh, you know, we're hiring at this salon, blah blah blah. So I went and it just wasn't it, and then I went to a couple other ones and it just wasn't it. And funny enough, I was in like a casual like halter neck dress, summer dress, like very basic, okay? So I happened to be, you know, in town, and I go to the salon because they said it was hiring. So I asked, hey, can I get an application? The manager walks out and she's like, oh, are you filling an application? Do you want to fill it out here so we can just like, you know, go through it right away? And I said, oh, okay. And so I'm here like filled out the application, and she's like, oh, why don't you come on back with me? And I'm just like, wait a minute. So, you know, it was funny because I didn't even get the chance to be nervous. You know, when you're anxious for an interview and you're just like, oh my gosh, it's tomorrow, and you're like, you can't sleep, you can't do nothing. Yeah, I didn't get the chance to do that, which I was totally fine with. She took me back, asked me a few questions, and we're gonna skip fast forward. I got the job. So when I started, I was the only black female at that salon. So sometimes I felt like people would underestimate me, or they would underestimate my abilities. You know, in the beginning, I felt a little bit off because I'm like, I don't know if I'm in, you know, I feel right here, and I don't know this and that. But I really love my coworkers, and honestly, they make my job, I feel at home every time. But positives of being the only black stylist in the salon is you stand out. You stand out, which is a good thing. People are like, oh, you know, she's black, you know, interesting. But here's how I see it. I may be black, but if I don't look put together, I'm not trustworthy. I'm not capable of doing haircuts. They're a little bit unsure. You know what I'm saying? But if you look put together, and I try my best to look put together 70% of the time. So if I look put together, they're like, oh, okay, you know, she looks like she knows what she's doing. She looks good. I'm pretty sure she can give me a bomb haircut, or she can probably, you know, give me the correct color. You know what I'm saying? So they're a little bit more, they have more trust when I look my best. I've noticed. When I started, I didn't have a lot of confidence because I struggled. You know, I was very unsure of myself. I wasn't sure if I was good enough. And I was like, you know, what if I don't do it right? You know, what if I mess up? It was a lot of what ifs, because leaving cosmetology school, you feel like you don't really know much, and it's true, you don't know a whole lot. You learn so much in the salon, you don't even know. It took me a little bit of time just because it was a lot of nerves too involved. I mean, you're meeting random strangers, you have to make them happy, you have to create conversation. Even if you're nervous, you put it all away because nobody wants to know that you're nervous. It's your job. You're here to make people feel good about themselves, look their best, and leave with a smile. So somebody could be having a bad day. I've had people sit in my chair having a really bad day. You can just tell they don't want to talk to you. You're talking to them and they're giving you attitude, and you're just like, okay. And by the time you're done, they just open up, and that's what makes me go home feeling amazing. One of the ways I got over nerves was, like, say a really fine gentleman sits in my chair, and I'm like, oh my God, a little bit, you know, flustered, but you can't really show it. I tend to not look at their face in the mirror. I will focus on just the hair, because most of the times, you know, the mirror should be in front of you. So you're looking at yourself, you're looking at your client, and sometimes if you glance, you're just like, oh my God, you're trying to ask them a question and you want to look in the mirror, but I tend to not, especially if I'm feeling nervous that day, because there are days where I'm doing just fine. You can look fine anyhow, and I'm doing just fine. And there's days where I'm like just not having it. Everybody is just like making me super nervous. I don't know. It happened. Another important thing is understanding your worth in the salon. It's very important to charge for your time, whether you're doing work in the salon, outside of the salon, or anywhere. Because I offer services outside of the salon and then services to request clients in the salon as well. So you have to know to charge for your time. Undercharging is a no-go. I mean, I've seen people undercharge in the salon and I've seen people overcharge in the salon. Now, if you actually do put in the work, then you better charge. I'm gonna charge. I'm sorry. Like, I offer services outside of the salon. Like I said, it's makeup, I do hair outside of the salon. And so it's very important for me to make sure that if I'm putting in the time, I am definitely charging for the time. Another thing I had to just accept is that it's okay to fail, because not every single client is going to be happy with what you do. Some people, you can never, ever, ever, ever please them. Ever. Ever. Nothing you do will please them. They will find something to say, something to complain about. It's happened to me. It's happened to every stylist, I can tell you that. And you just learn to accept it. You learn to be patient and just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Don't want you anymore. I don't even know the words. Best way to build clientele though is to be memorable. Because if you're not memorable, why will I come back to you? If you don't stand out to me, why will I come back to you? Yes, I stand out in color, but it doesn't make me any different than all the other stylists. So I still have to put my best out there and make sure that what I'm giving them, the service I'm providing for them, I'm friendly, I'm calm, not overly talkative, but just interactive enough. You let them do the talking. If they want to know something, they will ask you. When they sit in your chair, it's all about them, not you, them. It's almost like therapeutic for them. So even though I don't get paid enough for that, it all counts, only because first of all, they're gonna tip you really good and it'll keep them coming back to you. So that would conclude this subject for today. Kind of touched on a little bit of everything: how I got my first job, how to overcome nerves in the salon, what it's like being the only Black stylist in my salon so far. All right, so that's all I got for today, and I'll see you guys on the next video.